Okay folks, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see I've been busy out here. I got the left hand side of this little nose piece glued onto the bow, and got out here late last night, and actually I was out here till about 1 o'clock in the morning working on this. I got home from work all around 11:15 or so, and just decided to go ahead and get this knocked out, and did that off camera of course, but I did kind of take you through the bonding of the right hand side nose piece here, so I didn't feel it necessary to video document the installation of this piece. But as you can see, it's on there. I'm just waiting for the epoxy to cure. I was kind of right at the lower end of that temperature threshold that I've been talking about, and so I'm gonna give it about another 12 hours to cure before I pop those clamps off. And then at that point I'm going to be ready to start bonding my ribs in. Got to get that done, and then I'll be ready to flip this boat over and start on that outer skin. And so just stay tuned, stay with me. We're getting there, and we are pressing forward, and I will see you in the next segment. Okay folks, welcome back. As you can see, got all the clamps off, all except for this brace on the keel beam here. And the reason for that is after I got the bow assembled, I noticed that it still had a lot of side-to-side movement here. It was actually, this whole assembly was just kind of floppy. So what I decided to do was come in here and just shore this up a little bit with some gussets, and I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one on each side of this keel beam, and then just one on the inboard side of each of the stringers, as you can see there. And I also had to come up with a way to hold these gussets in place while the epoxy cures. And I mean, it had to be a very precise tool. It had to be a very precise measuring block there, you know, to set these gussets on while the epoxy cures. So here's my precision tool. Plastic cup turned upside down. Hey, whatever works, right? Okay. I was going to get out here tonight and mix up some epoxy and go ahead and bond these in, but it got just a little bit chilly. Nothing like what we had 3 weeks ago, but again, just a little. It did have a cold front come through tonight, and so got a little bit cold. I don't like the cold. I've had enough of the cold. So anyway, we're going to hold off on that until probably tomorrow, maybe Sunday. It is Friday night. And when I get the epoxy mixed up to bond those pieces in, and at the same time I will finish doing the fillet seals in these corners right here. Now these pieces are bonded on. They're not going anywhere, but you know, just want to come in and do the little fillet, little beads right there in those corners, like what we have right there. Just do that on all sides, and just make it look neat, and you know, just to kind of help it give it a little bit more strength. So that's where we're at, and once I get to that point where I'm ready to bond in these gussets, then I will get back to you. Stay tuned, more to come. See you next segment. Okay, welcome back once again, folks. And well, you've seen me do this before, getting ready to start mixing up epoxy, and I'm gonna get those gussets bonded in. Had to make sure that I did not cover up. Let me move this lantern here real quick. I had to get some extra light over here. Man, it's just kind of dark in this corner. Let's put that right there. You might see some strange shadows here, but it's just from that little LED lantern. And like I said, this is just kind of a dark corner in my garage over here at the front of this boat. But I'm getting ready to bond these gussets in. Had to make sure I didn't cover up these slots for these ribs. I was thinking about making some larger gussets, but then I thought, well, you know, I'm kind of limited. I can't come out past this slot right here because that's where one of the ribs is going to go when I get to that point in the assembly. So, and once I get that mixed up, I will get back to you. I'll show you the end result, and okay, we will see you in the next segment. Okay, welcome back. And just like that, I have 3 of the 4 gussets bonded in. Now, I only put the epoxy on the top side. I will do the bottom later on when I go to flip this boat over. And I will get the 4th gusset bonded in once I move this brace right here. And I've got this brace on. It's a nice straight piece of lumber, and it's holding everything rigid. It's holding the keel beam straight, and so I just got it clamped to that keel beam as a straight edge, and that's going to hold everything together. And once that epoxy sets up on those gussets, I will go ahead and remove that, put it on the other side, and then install that 4th gusset. And I had a little bit of thickened epoxy left over, so I moved up here to the front to this nose piece that I had been working on. And you saw me working on that in the last video, and I needed to go ahead and start filling in these corners. So that's what I did with my leftover material, and it worked out. I had just enough to do what you see here. I went on ahead and made up a little bead here of thickened epoxy. Went on ahead and put that in there. Got my popsicle sticks and went on ahead and rolled that in there. Did that on the right hand side as well. And now I'm holding off on putting anything in these corners right here, and I've got to fabricate some little wedge shaped pieces to go in these corners, and it's kind of hard to describe it, but I need a couple of little wedge shaped pieces on both sides of this keel beam right here that will kind of square up the inside surface right here, because I need to put, let's see, where did I lay it? Right here. Okay. I need to put this bow eye on. I'm going to have to drill some holes and install the bow eye, and of course you need a bow eye on the front of your boat. It's going to install just like this, and I'll probably end up cutting the excess material off right there. Those are about 5 inches long or so. I don't need that much of that stainless thread poking through there, but you need a bow eye on your boat, so that when you trailer it, you'll have a place to attach your winch, and so you can get the boat on the trailer. And so that has to be on there. And like I said, I've got to put some little wedge-shaped pieces across the front there to kind of level that off, so that the nuts, when I go to tighten the nuts down, they'll have a nice level surface to tighten down against. So, just a little detail stuff like that. For now, I've done about all I can do tonight. All I can do now is let the epoxy set up. Good news is it is well above 70 degrees tonight out here in the garage, so that means it's well above my temperature threshold that you've heard me talk about several times in previous videos. I do have a temperature range for that epoxy, but hopefully I get out here tomorrow morning and that stuff will be nice and dry and set up, at least to the point where you can touch it. It might be a little bit finger drag, because that is the slow cure hardener. But hopefully it'll be enough to where I can at least drag my finger on it without sticking to it. And then once I get that done, like I said, I will get this brace moved to the other side of the keel beam, get that 4th gusset put in place, and so that's it. I'm gonna call it a night. It is now time for me to go and reward myself with a ice cold Diet Dr. Pepper. We will see you in the next segment. Well, I'm going to guess that it's quite normal to run into things that you didn't expect when you're building a boat like this, even a simple boat like this, little 13.5-foot skiff. And one of the things I ran into Remember I talked in my previous segment here about how this whole front assembly was kind of just a little bit wobbly. And you know, I've also mentioned in the past that, you know, in a perfect world, plywood would be perfectly straight. Well, it's not perfectly straight. Now, this piece, it's all nice and square and level like it needs to be. That's all fine and good. But what I ran into was some warpage in the stringers right here. Let me move this light. This is that dark corner of my garage I was talking about. But I've run into a little bit of an issue with some warpage in the stringers right here. And those are the longitudinal members that are on the outboard side. And of course, the keel beam runs down the center. And so I'm supposed to have a measurement. Put that lamp away. I'm supposed to have a measurement of 13 inches from center to center. And what I found out last night after I finished bonding in these gussets back here to kind of stiffen this thing up, to kind of reduce some of that side to side play, was that this outboard stringer had actually developed a little bow in it. And then again, it could be from the epoxy. You know, we had that issue on the stern end with the epoxy. I think I kind of theorized that it was shrinking when it set up and causing some of the plywood to warp. But it actually ended up being 13.5 inches. So this actually bowed out a good half inch here. So what you see here is my answer to that problem. And in addition to having to make some gussets, I'm also had to make some spacers to go in between the stringer and the keel beam on both sides. And here is the other spacer. And as you can see, I've already cut it. I've already got the cut it to this inside diameter, this inside dimension, I should say. And got my lightning holes cut in, because this isn't a structural piece. All this is for is to keep that dimension, is to keep that 13-inch on center dimension. And so it's just going to bond in place, just like you see the other one's already set in place there. It's not bonded yet. I got to pull it back out, wet it down with the resin, and then set it back in with the epoxy. Got to do the same here, and getting ready to do that here momentarily. I'm going to get my epoxy mixed up and bond in that last gusset right there. Now if you can see that. And then I'm going to get these two pieces bonded in also. And then once again, we're going to leave it for the night. Like I said, I guess sometimes, you know, you just run into things that are unexpected like this. And you're going to, you know, especially when you're dealing with plywood and, you know, the plywood, it's going to pull and twist and warp. You know, of course, you know, being in this garage here, you know, we've seen temperatures as high as 108, 109 in August. And then, of course, you know, we had that -1 degree here last week. Of course, I was able to keep the temperature above freezing in the garage with a little space heater. But, you know, the humidity changes. The temperature, you know, you get a big wide temperature swing there. So I guess it's going to, you know, cause some issues with warping and twisting, and you know, because you know, like I said, the humidity levels are going up and down, temperatures going up and down. I guess that's to be expected. And so just one of those little challenges, and we will work our way through it, and I will see you next segment. Okay, so it's about an hour later, and as you can see, it's done. The spacers are bonded in, like I mentioned in the previous segment. The purpose for these spacers here that I'm pointing to right now, the purpose for those is to maintain this dimension, and the dimension between the outer stringers and the center keel beam is supposed to be 13 inches on center. And like I said, I found that, especially that one on the left-hand side over there, it had quite a bit of a warp in it. So I just put these spacers in to pull that warp out of it, and to just to help maintain that dimension right there. That's going to be important when I flip this over and go to putting the skin on, it's just one less thing I have to fight. I don't have to be fighting the stringer there to try to get it pulled into place while I'm trying to bond the outer skin on. And so that's just going to help me later on down the road. So that's about it. Once again, oh yeah, by the way, I got that fourth gusset in place also. But that's about it. Once again, Diet Dr. Pepper time, and all we can do now is just wait for the epoxy to dry, and of course I'm off work tomorrow. I'll have plenty of time to get out here and work on this some more. So we'll see you then. Okay folks, welcome back. Well, this turned out way better than I could have imagined it would. In that last segment, I installed these spacers, and as I said, the reason for that was because some of this plywood was beginning to warp, and over here on this left-hand stringer, I actually noticed that it had curved and had developed a significant bow, and so I installed these spacers that did a couple of things. It helped me to get my dimension back. I installed the stringers and the keel beam on 13-inch centers, and let's find it there, and we got that back. And it also pulled the twist and the bowing out of this left-hand stringer here, and it really stabilized the front end of this boat. And just dimensionally speaking, I mean, everything is just straight and square, way better than I could have hoped. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. For instance, right here to this point on the bow, on that nose piece that I bonded in that last video, as you can see, I've got just a tad bit over 47 inches. Now I'm going to walk over here to the other side. Garage door is closed. I'm going to have to crawl over here to the other side. I can't fit between that garage door and the bow of that boat. Okay, all set. So when I come over to the other side, check that same dimension. As you can see, let's find it there. We're spot on, just a tad over 47 inches. Likewise, drop the tape measure to the floor. Measure to this point. Find the tape measure there again. There we go. That's up off the floor, just a tad over 45 inches. We'll do the same over here on the right hand side. Just a tad over 45 inches. Couldn't have asked for that to turn out any better. And remember, I talked about also trying to adjust the center line, making sure that the center line of the bow here was straight and in alignment with the center line of the bulkhead and center line of the stern way back yonder. And we achieved that. And of course, you know, the way I checked that was to run that tape measure between this corner and the point of the bow right there, and the same take the same measurement from the other side, from that corner of the bulkhead over to the point on the bow here. And you know, like I said, I wanted to form a like a triangle that was equal on these two sides, on the right and left sides. It is within 1/8 of an inch. I will take 1/8 of an inch any day. If that's all we're off, we don't have any problems. We are good to go. So next time you see me, I'm going to be bonding in these ribs. I keep talking about that. Finally going to do it because, like I said, I had mentioned in a previous video, I felt the need to get this whole front end forward of the bulkhead stabilized before I attack those ribs. And so, well, now we're ready to attack the ribs. And now one thing I will tell you is that it will be probably a few days. Here we go. It will be a few days before I get to that project because the garage, I'm just kind of looking out over my garage right now, getting a little cluttered. We need to do some housekeeping. So I'm going to have to stand down for a few days. I'm going to have to take care of some housekeeping chores here in the garage. Just get everything kind of back in its place and get cleaned up and throw out the stuff that needs to get thrown out and just put everything in order here. So it might be 7 or 8 days before I get to post another video, but until then, just thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, folks, welcome to the devotional segment of the video. I was thinking the other day about some of the conversations that I've had with people down through the years, and I've had many. I've had numerous conversations, spiritual conversations, with a variety of people over the years. And after I've shared my testimony with them, after I've shared the gospel with them, more than once someone has responded, well, this is what I believe, or this is what I happen to believe in. And then they go on to profess their belief in something other than the gospel of Jesus Christ. It could be some Eastern religion, it could be some works-based system that teaches that salvation has to be earned through good works, or maybe they just don't believe in God at all. But even an atheist, in spite of what they may say, even an atheist believes something. They believe there is no God, but like I said, they believe something. But the fact that so many people believe in something other than the gospel, that in and of itself is evidence of the freedom that God has given to mankind. We're free to believe anything we want, and we're free to be as wrong as we know how to be. However, I must point out, there will be consequences for believing the wrong things about Christ, because Romans chapter 1 makes it very clear that God has revealed himself to everyone in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And everyone is responsible for responding to that revelation that they've been given in such a way that it eventually leads him or her to a saving knowledge in Jesus Christ. No one, but absolutely no one, gets a get out of hell free card, folks. On the day of judgment, they will not get to stand before God and say, well, I believed this. No one gets to do this. No one gets to stand there and say that they believe in something other than saving grace through faith in Christ. Jesus made that crystal clear in John chapter 14, and this is a passage that's very familiar to all Christians. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So choosing to believe in something else is choosing not to believe in Jesus Christ. To believe in anything other than the gospel of Jesus Christ is to reject Jesus Christ. Someday, everyone is going to believe, in spite of what they may believe here on earth. Someday, when we enter eternity, whether that eternity is heaven or hell, everyone will believe. And unfortunately, for many people, that belief will come too late. The Apostle Paul affirmed this in the 2nd chapter of Philippians, where he wrote in his letter to the church at Philippi, therefore, God elevated him to the place of highest honor and gave him the name above all other names, that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow, in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue declare that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So when you bow your knees to Christ, and everyone will, every one of us will bow our knees to Jesus Christ. But when you bow your knees to Christ, will your knees be resting on a nice, cool spot beside the river of life? Or will they be scorched on hot brimstone? Choice is up to you. But as for me and my family, we choose to follow Jesus Christ. Folks, that's all I have for you tonight. And as I always say, behave, be blessed, and now it is time for me to be gone. Thank you for watching, and have a safe and blessed week.